I just have a desire to be great. You know, that's one of the main things, and the fact that it's another man on the other side of the ring that wants to hurt me.
I told you, all of my critics, I told you all that I was the greatest of all time.
He can bring the pressure. He can box. I'm a true champion. I'm willing to go to his turf. I'm going to step on him. I'm going to crush him. Y'all can mark my word to this. I'm going to crush him. He's a C-plus fighter. I'm an A-plus fighter because I'm going to dominate. This guy is flat footy, swing wild. I'm not worried about who his trainer is because his trainer can't get in there and fight for him. I'm ready mentally, physically, because I'm going to treat him like he's a C-plus fighter. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to dog this fighter.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one to stop me. Lynch is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairport. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat your children.
Can you? Listen, the concentration is leaving a little bit. Pick it up. Pick it up. Fire's coming. Are you ready for the fire? Don't quit firemen. We are firemen. The heat doesn't bother us. We live in the heat. We train in the heat. It tells us that we're ready. We're at home. We're where we're supposed to be. Flames don't intimidate us. What do? We control the flames. We control them. We move the flames.
Hi, Claressa. How are you? Just want to, on behalf of the Standing 8 podcast, I want to thank you for, taking your time, tuning in, taking time away from your family, calling us, and obviously talking about boxing. And I want to give all the viewers out there the proper introduction. So like I said before in the beginning, Claressa Shields is an American professional boxer. From my understanding, you're holding 2 belts, the WBC and the IBF super middleweight titles. Your last fight was this past June, which you won via unanimous decision. Congratulations on that. Born and raised in Flint, Michigan, and you are a 2-time gold medalist back in 2012 and 2016, and now with a pro record of 6-0. Claressa, how are you today?
I'm great, and I have 4 titles. I have 2 at 160, the IBF and the WBA, and 2 at 168, the WBC and the IBF. So I got 4 belts.
You're ready for retirement.
Hey!
You're ready for retirement.
Yeah, it's a lot of belts, I know.
It's too much to even handle. So we have Tiffany Daniels on the phone as well. It's been a pleasure already talking to her, and we got a couple of questions for you, Claressa. We're super excited, obviously, like I said, to have you on the phone. You're very young. I think, you're 24 years old, 25?
23.
23 years old. Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus. How's it been? I mean, it feels like you have an amateur record of 77-1. It feels like you've probably been boxing for such a long time. Tell us a little bit how you got started in boxing, passion for it, and when you made a decision that this was going to be your career, like this is what you were going to do.
Well, everybody know I was born and raised in Flint, Michigan, and my childhood is kind of like boxing found me. My dad was a prior boxer, not like an amateur boxer, but like one of those underground street fighters type guys. Mm-hmm. And when he got out of prison, he told me his life story and everything, and then he mentioned that he thought that the men in our family would take up after him because it's a lot of my cousins who know how to fight pretty well. I mean, as far as in street fighting, but we're all kind of built athletic and stuff, and he thought that one of my cousins or somebody would take up boxing when he went to prison, but he just came back, and really more of my family ended up going to prison and all this stuff. So he mentioned Muhammad Ali having the same problem, mentioned that Muhammad Ali had sons and daughters, but only his daughter took up after him. And when my dad told me that Layla Ali took up after her father, Muhammad Ali, it made me want to take up after my dad. And at 11 years old, I was very quiet and skinny and shy. So I asked my dad if he would sign me up. And at first he didn't want to. But him and his wife and stuff took a vote. And all my stepbrothers and sisters voted yes, and my dad voted no. So that was actually my first boxing match that I won because I had to get everybody to vote for me. So that was actually my first win. And when I started boxing, it was just the biggest stress reliever for me. Training and everything made my life not be as bad as it was. And I just continued boxing. And then at 13, we found out about the Olympics. And we didn't know if I was going to be old enough for 2012, but we just had dreams that we just had hopes that I was going to be old enough. And I continued training and going to all these tournaments and things like that. And all of a sudden, 2012 came, and I was old enough, the elite division, and I was ranked number 7 in the country. And I had to fight my way to number 1 spot. And I did that, and it's like boxing has always just made sense when everything else didn't. So that's why I kind of stayed in it. And boxing is the reason how I found Christ. Boxing is the reason why I graduated school. It's just like everything tied into boxing. Like I started going to church and everything so God could help me with boxing. I graduated high school because I didn't want to be another dumb boxer who didn't graduate high school and who didn't know how to count and read. So I really dedicated myself to school as much as I did boxing. And, getting ready for the second Olympics, it was way different than my first because first Olympics I didn't have any endorsements, no sponsorships, but I knew I was the best on the team. But it's like I just didn't really understand the marketing side of it, I guess. But 2016 was way different. I was the favorite. I had a lot of endorsements, a lot of sponsorships, a lot of different opportunities. I mean, I was doing interviews every week while I was still training, doing commercial shoots. It was really big leading up to 2016. And I just remember me thinking to myself about legacy, and to me, everybody's legacy is different. And my legacy involved wanting to be the best woman fighter ever. That's where I came up with Gwodat, the greatest woman fighter of all time. And it was like, what do you do to become that? After I won the Olympic gold medal, I would think to myself, what else can I do to be the greatest woman of all time? Like, how do you get that respect? And that's when I decided to turn professional. I felt like it was a feat. It was something that I didn't know about. I didn't know how the pro scenes worked. I had heard about it, and what I had heard was pretty bad things. But I had kind of put my hope in God and my faith in God, and I was like, I pray that this is the right decision because I really want to help women's boxing. I want it to go far, and I want it to be equal to the men because I know when I was an amateur, I worked harder than a lot of men that I was training with, and I was more dedicated to the sport. And so I wanted, other women to get that same acknowledgement that the men get. So I was like, I think it needs to start with me. I think I'm the one that can give it that big push if I go out there and perform the way that I'm supposed to. And so I turned pro, and everything just kind of went with the flow more than anything, and everything just kind of fell in place. And Showtime came along, and I met Mark Taffet, and everything just kind of fell in line. It was great, and that's what I'm saying. Boxing has always made sense to me more than my life ever has, so I just continue to box.
You know what I like about your story, Claressa? The fact that you said legacy. The fact that you know why you're doing this. Like, you have a purpose. You have a why. I can't tell you how many people go, whether it's an athlete, a boxer, or somebody who has a regular job, they'll go 30, 40 years, 50 years doing what they're doing without no purpose, without no why. This is why I feel that you're as successful as you are, right? Even though your journey just started, you already have a bunch of accolades. You've already succeeded in life. You've already got more success at the age of 23 than the average person does at the age of 50 and the age of 60, no matter what it is that they do. And I wholeheartedly feel that it's because of the fact that you know what you want to do. You want to leave a legacy, right? You have a why. You have a purpose. All these obstacles happened to you when you were young, because I understand that you grew up in Flint, Michigan. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. So I understand the culture.
Newark.
Yeah, from Newark. I understand the culture of being born in an area like Newark and an area like Flint. It's not easy. There's a lot of obstacles.
No, it's not.
We're born already with these obstacles in place. And to hear your story, like, it's so inspirational. Like, people, if anybody's listening out there, whether they're male or female, it doesn't matter. Your story is inspirational, and I hope that you keep touching people's hearts the way you're doing it, because you've inspired me to just do better just by being on the phone with you just a couple of minutes. It's incredible.
Thank you.
Incredible. I got Joseph Correa from Front Proof Media. For those who don't know, Joseph Correa runs frontproofmedia.com. Follow him. He's an excellent guy, huge boxing pundit. He's a big fan of the sport. He's on. Joseph, make your presence known, buddy.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing, Claressa?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Fantastic. So, I noticed you mentioned your dad was a big inspiration, and coming from a place where a lot of people don't have hope, that inspired you to be who you are. But I was wondering what female fighters that came before you inspired you. Were there any that stuck out and really inspired you to pursue the sport as hard as you have?
You know what? Women's boxing was never on TV. I didn't really follow other women fighters until maybe I started thinking about it maybe 2014 when I even considered that I may turn pro after the Olympics in 2016. So I never really had any to look up to. My favorite fighter for myself is Sugar Ray Robinson. That's the one who I love, and I watched a lot of Floyd Mayweather, but I was able to meet Lucia Riker and then find out about Ann Wolfe and also Layla Ali. But Ann Wolfe and Lucia Riker were women that stuck out to me. As far as when I compared my skills to them, I was like, damn, they are some beasts, and I feel like Lucia was the better skilled woman out of all of them, out of the women that I had knew about. I had found out about Christy Martin also. But, I mean, Christy Martin, to me, she's just tough and rough and just a warrior, and what's not to love about that. But I'm more of like a fan of the sweet science and kind of a Mike Tyson era. So I looked up and started following Lucia Riker because I had watched her documentary. And then I had also watched a documentary on YouTube about Ann Wolfe. And those were two women that motivated me. And when I think about Layla, she wasn't a person that motivated me to turn professional, but she did give me a lot of wisdom on the marketing side of boxing. About having a good team. That's something she was very she was just on me about, like, have a great team, people you trust, have a good people who want to go out and do stuff for you, who want to see you do well. And Layla Ali was great for that. I never really she didn't tell me to turn professional. She actually told me to keep fighting more Olympics. And I think she said that because of how her career went and how hard it was for her, which I totally understand. But I still feel like that women's boxing needed to break that barrier. And if we didn't break it now, it was going to be really hard for the girls coming up later. So that's why I just was like, let me just do it and hope that I can do what no other woman was able to do.
Well, I can tell you right now that you are doing that. You are blazing a big-time trail for women everywhere, and including women who cover the sport. I can tell you right now, I can share candidly with you that there is a female photographer who is the best in the sport by the name of Marilyn Paulino, and her number one thing was to shoot you. So your last fight, I sent her to shoot you, Marilyn Paulino.
Is that the lady that always be in Las Vegas?
No, she's out of New York, but she traveled to your last fight to make sure, because you were the number one person on her wish list to shoot. So you're inspiring women in sports as a whole. I don't even know if you know that. It's not just other fighters, but it's you're blazing trails for people to step up and, because boxing and sports, the stigma is that they're male-driven, and you're breaking these barriers. I hope you know that. You really are. And you spoke of legacy earlier, and what I see in you is he's a little before your time. I know you know who he is, but Michael Jordan was a special person in that sense. He changed everything. He revolutionized everything because of his mind state. His mind state was that of no one else, and you're doing the same thing. Your confidence is unbelievable. I believe that you believe you're the best, and that's great. Just keep doing that. Keep doing that because we're all behind you, and we love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And when you're talking about being the best, I've been so hard on myself lately because I know how great I am. I've seen great performances out of myself, and when you have those great performances, it's hard to have them again. You know, you have to really push yourself and focus, and sometimes focusing can kind of throw you off, you know, wanting to be great and just be the greatest all the time. But I feel like as far as being the greatest woman of all time, I know that it's there because I've done it and I've seen it. I just have to figure out how to pull it out of me when it's time to fight, because I already know, like, I always come to fight ready, but sometimes the 20% of the mental part isn't there, you know, and that's when I have my fights like I had my last fight, you know, but which even though I still won, I still feel like I made a lot of mistakes, and I just didn't focus like I was supposed to. But when you're in my shoes, you always just trying to figure out what's the best way to take. You try to figure out what went wrong and fix it, and it's like you always have so much stuff to fix that every camp is different, you know, no matter how great of a camp it is or who it is, like you still have to figure it out each fight, and I don't think people really understand how hard that is.
Then also that you have another elite athlete across the ring from you. So it's not only figuring it out for you, but, you know, you have another person who's also hungry that, you know what I mean? It's not just you. There's other things in the equation, and you're handling yourself really well. You know, I know that you were a little anxious probably in this last fight, you know, and things might not have seemed like they went well for you, but maybe the things that happened were the best things that could have happened because, like you said, look, you're already looking at how you can improve on that. So, you know, like I said, keep doing what you're doing. We're all behind you and loving what you're doing. So keep breaking barriers.
Thank you.
Hey, Tommy, I think there's a special guest also on the phone that you want to introduce. I believe Alicia Taylor is on finally. Go ahead, Tommy, introduce.
Yes. We have Alicia Taylor on. She is based out of San Antonio, Texas. She's been in the boxing game for about 5+ years now. She's always loved boxing. She's been blessed to work with pros like the retired Paulie Malignaggi, who co-owns Future Legend Apparel out in New York. She's currently working with Kelly Pavlik's podcast with co-host James Dominguez called The Punchline. She's been with them for a little bit over a year now. Does a lot with helping boxers find sponsorships, things like that, helping out locals and non-locals alike. You know, she's dipping into the amateur game and helping the future of boxing. Her, you know, Facebook is Alicia Taylor. Her IG is Taylor_consulting, and you can find her on Twitter at 83 Alicia Taylor. Alicia, are you on?
I'm here. You hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you on.
Oh my God, I'm so honored. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. We are ready to get at it. We got a packed house tonight. It is great. We got the great Claressa Shields on, and it's about to be a great show.
Yes. Claressa, hi, Claressa.
Hey, how you doing, Alicia?
I'm doing good, baby girl.
Do you guys know each other at all? Have you guys ever met each other?
No,
have you ever been in the same?
I don't think so.
Follow her. Yeah. I follow her.
So Alicia and Tiffany, do you guys have anything you want to talk about with Claressa? Any questions you might have for her?
I'm like, as far as me, I don't think Claressa would want to know, because I saw, to be honest, Claressa, like, I'm never against anybody, never against any like professional boxers, whether female or males and stuff or whatever. But I had saw the last beef I saw on Instagram was between you and Lalo's boxing.
Yeah, I think I got trolled by that page recently. Yeah, for sure.
So I was like, at first I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I was trying to like backtrack, and I was like, what's going on? I'm like, boxing has its it has its ups and downs, and I was like, wait, I was like, I'm my girl here, Claressa, because like I said, I've been following you for like a good while, and I was like, wait, but I've been following Lalo. I was like, so what the hell is going on here? All I know is that you ended up blocking him, right, baby girl?
Yeah, I definitely did, and it all started over me cheering for Robert Easton over Mikey Garcia. I mean,
okay.
Whatever, you know, like I'm gonna cheer for who I want to cheer for.
It is what it is.
Yeah, you know, I don't have anything against Mikey Garcia, but you know, I was cheering for Robert Easton. I feel like he, you know, even though Mikey Garcia had the power, I think that Robert Easton he's a great fighter, and he just came off of having a bad looking fight, which I know he's gonna go back to the gym and fix his mistakes, because I've been in the gym with him before. He actually was a sparring partner for me in 2012, getting ready for the Olympics. So I was going Robert Easton, and I guess he felt some kind of way about that, and did what internet trolls do, which I'm perfectly fine with. I never really dealt with that before from any of the other pages, boxing pages, you know, but from that page he was very disrespectful. And then on his page, I mean, he just really downs a lot of black fighters and promotes a lot of Mexican fighters, which that's his choice, you know, because we like who we like and want to cheer for who we want to cheer for. But it was like he was trying to say that, I don't know, that I had something against Mexican fighters. And I'm like, what the hell? USA Boxing have nothing but black, Mexican, white, whatever kind of fighter you want to say is mixed.
This joy, white, Ukrainians, we all in this bitch. You know what I mean?
So it's been all over. You know, I don't know what's wrong with him.
Like, yeah. You know, hey, it's all got to, you know, everybody has their own opinions, you know what I mean? You know, it's boxing is good, and then boxing is like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I just think that it's just one of those pages that was waiting to say something, and with me being who I am, people don't have a reason to hate on me except for that they want me to lose, but they didn't really have a reason, and he really just gave them reasons. He went and found a lot of bullcrap videos and said a whole bunch of stuff and tried to make it seem like I'm not a good person and all this stuff like that. And, I mean, it's his page. He can persuade his fans or whatever, but I blocked all his fans, too, whoever came on my page, because I'm not a person hungry for followers. Like, if you're a follower of me, I like positive energy. So if you're coming to my page with negativity, rather you're giving me a +1 or not, I'll block you, because I don't have time for negativity the way that my life is going. It's like it's either positive or it gotta go. And I'm like, that just has to go. So
I see you right there, because I follow Lolo, but I recently started following you too. And I was like, whoa, I was like, what? You know, I was like, I took a step back. I was like, what's going on? You know, but I'm not one that's gonna like eat into like the negative energy. Because I'm like, hey, you know, there's always like sides or whatever. There's so many sides of every story. And so so like just looking at all the shit, you know, all the comments or whatever. But you know, I was like, hey, I was like, give Claressa like, you know, benefit of the doubt or whatever the case can be and stuff. And then I believe there was like another video just like recently, and I think, I don't know, were you training a fighter like in an amateur event this not too long ago?
Last year.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm not. I probably have to go back on the video, but I just saw it like not too long ago, and I guess it was the mother of the son that won, and she was like, you know, all like, you know, praising her son, of course, and then you end up stepping up and, you know, were something about the refs, like the refs didn't call it.
Yeah. So since you watched the video, which I watched it too.
Yeah.
I didn't see, the thing is, I didn't down the fighter, and that's his persuasion. And no, I didn't walk up to her camera. I was walking up to my fighter. If you go back and watch it, they were exiting the ring.
Yeah.
I was going to talk to my fighter. That was the quarterfinals of the USA National. So I was walking up to my fighter. I didn't even know she was recording, but at the end of the day, I never said nothing to her son about, you lost the fight, the ref helped you. So,
I'm not trying to be rude to like this, like to cut you off, but I watched it like plenty of times. I was like, I'm gonna watch this shit plenty of times before I get on this podcast. She really didn't say nothing rude about the fighter that won. She didn't come up to the camera. You know, the mom was like, hey, you know, let him have his shine, let him shine. And you're like, yeah, okay, cool, you know, the fighter, whatever. But you were not, you weren't against the fighter. You were just against whatever the ref had called at that time.
The ref, and like I said, I would never confront a fighter like that.
The mom had said, well, can you give advice? And your response was like, I only give my advice to my fighters, which is, to me, you know, 50-50. Like, if you want, you can give advice, but, if not, then, that's your fighter. You're going to give advice to your fighters only and not to somebody else. Like, so why would you give your advice to, other fighters? You know what I mean? So I was like...
Yeah, and even with that, and I understand what she was saying. You know what I mean? But it was like, one, this is a boxing match, and people try to make it seem like I can't cheer for who I want to cheer for because I'm a professional athlete. No, I still have a favor of people. Like, the guy that was fighting is still my training partner till this day. I've been knowing him since he's 10 years old. He's 19 now. And the fact that that fight was a split decision loss for him, but he shook the dude last round, and the boy was holding almost the freaking whole last round, and the ref never called it. So it's not the fighter's fault. That's why I didn't say nothing to him. So I don't have any ill feelings toward that fighter. Not even no ill feelings toward the ref. But at that moment, I was yelling at the ref like, "Ref, do your job."
So many things, like how we all get in any situation. It doesn't matter, boxing, not boxing. But no, that's why I was like, I looked over that 3 to 4 times, and I was like, no.
But that was just him trying to make me look bad. That was it. Which he was mad because first I already had blocked his page. I didn't even know I didn't know he was posting anything. He posted me getting dropped by Hannah Gabriels. He posted that video. And then he posted a picture of me and Hammer. And, like, this dude was just trying to troll me and having his fans, whoever followed him, comment on my page, his page. Like, he really just wanted followers and wanted to bother me and he called me ratchet, which I've never dealt with this from another boxing page. It's the most disrespectful boxing page I ever dealt with in my life. And he was trying to persuade them that I was a bad person. That was it. And he just kept doing it.
It sounds like a couple of people I know from different boxing groups. So boxing politics, unfortunately, you'll see that in every group, possible. So, Claressa, I got a couple of questions for you. Then I wanted to give the other panelists, a chance to obviously ask you a couple of questions and engage with you as well. So, I mean, a couple of questions. Being from Flint, Michigan, how much has that weighed in your success and your grit and your mindset that you have right now? Because you have a unique frame of mind. And how much, I know that you had somewhat of a rough past. I don't want to get into that, but I've read several articles. How much of that having to overcome that in your childhood, how much of that plays into your success today?
Well, I was taught to sacrifice and be the leader at a very young age and make big decisions, tough decisions. And I've learned also to, at a young age, to deal with my decisions, whether they were the right decisions or the wrong ones, but to make the best out of it, And I learned that at a young age, like you make a bed, you lay in it. So that's kind of how I've always been. And growing up, I just had to do a lot of sacrificing, training hard, praying and being faithful to God that got me to where I am. I think that my mental toughness comes from Flint. My mom may have not ever said anything that taught me anything, but she definitely showed me what not to do. My mom was an alcoholic and got into plenty of fights and everything like that. And it just kind of instilled in me not to be that way and not to be that kind of person. My mom is a great person, but, drinking makes everybody kind of crazy, So
absolutely.
It just kind of taught me not to drink and not to do drugs and not to smoke and not to try to fit in with people and to always be a leader. And it also taught me that when it comes to making decisions, make sure it's your decision. It's a grown in this business that I'm in when I was amateur and now that I'm professional, everybody has advice. They all want to tell you what they think is the best thing for you to do. Everybody got the answers to why you don't have this and why you don't have that and why you're not fighting for $1 million. Everybody supposedly knows. But if they already know, why don't they have a fighter who has done that already? I just been following my heart, and I take people's advice, but at the end of the day, I think it over, and I just do whatever I think is best, self and my family, and I kind of follow my heart with everything. I never just jump into something like, I'm gonna do it because this person did it. You know, I kind of follow my heart and try to make the best out of it. And I've done that with everything, making my decision to go for the second Olympic gold medal, making my decision to turn pro, which I was scared as hell. You know, taking these big fights against girls who have more experience than me, who are older, you know, just all these things because I want to have a great legacy. But I'm the one who's taking the risk, you know, no matter how great they say I am. You know, to be fighting 10 rounds, I've fought 3 10-rounders now in just 6 fights. Like, that's a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. So I have Tiffany Daniels also on the phone, and I feel like we owe it to her again, Tommy, to give her a grand entrance. Tommy, why don't you?
That's not necessary.
So I want Tommy to give the viewers out there, for those who are listening, and Joseph Correa, obviously, and all the other panelists that join in, because we have 6 people on the line. It doesn't sound like it, but we definitely have a lot of people on the line. But I want Tommy just to kick it off really quick. Tommy, go ahead.
All right, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Well, we got Tiffany Daniels on the mic. She is blessing us and joining us on the show. She's a journalist. She's worked for the past 6 years with Inside the Ropes, and she contributes there. She's also a public relations manager with Wyatt Promotions out of Cincinnati, Ohio. She is ready to get on and talk some sweet science with us and the great Claressa Shields. Tiffany, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Hey, Claressa, how are you?
Hey, Tiffany, I'm fine.
Well, I only got really like one question for you. I know you talked a lot about your legacy, and like you said, you're young and you accomplished so much already in a small amount of time with the Olympics and then making history with Showtime. But I know how hard it is for a lot of women in boxing. I actually have a cousin who's doing amateur boxing, and she can't even get people to show up to fight her, and it's really, it's just really tough on girls in the boxing game. So I know it's a lot of pressure on you to excel, but is there anything to tell us about, like, what's the next step for you? Like, what else can you do to really trailblaze the path for women?
Well, there is actually a lot more. You know, right now, people think, you know, I just keep fighting for us to be on TV or for myself to be on TV, but I'm trying to make it easier for the girls coming up so they don't have to do the same things that I'm doing. You know, I kind of feel like sometimes people don't know what the word equal means, and equal is the same. You know,
right?
100 on one end, 100 on the other end. 50-50, you know, and I try to explain that to people, and it seemed like in the boxing world, it's just no 100-100 going on, or there's no 50-50. So right now, I'm fighting to get us the 100% of just like the men get. And, you know, with my continued success, you know, of course, to win more titles. I want to be a 3-time division world champion by the time my career is over. But as far as in boxing, too, like, you know, making sure we get equal pay, equal TV time, equal promotion, equal respect, you know, and all that stuff is not free. You know, it's like I'm the person right now who's in the lead, and I have to keep making these small demands to let them know. And you'll be surprised how much stuff I have to bring to their attention that they don't really pay attention to. You would think, like I said, equal, whatever you do for this world championship fight, do for this fight. But they're really, sometimes it kind of goes over their head, like they don't think about it. And you have to mention it for them to be like, oh, wow, you're right. You know, and I'm the person that speaks up about it. I'm the one who don't bite my tongue and let them know, like, okay, I want to be treated fairly. And I think Showtime has been doing a great job, but it's still, I think Showtime and my promoter has been doing a great job, but it's still more to be done. And I'm just going to keep fighting for that while I continue to progress my own career. But I'm also fighting for more women to be on TV. Like, a lot of these girls at super middleweight and middleweight don't really understand that it's not see, everybody want to have that self fame. You know, they all want to be like, oh, I'm getting paid the most. I'm the prettiest, or whatever the hell they be thinking about. But it's like when you're carrying a whole sport, you want other women to get shine too, because that's going to help what you're trying to do. You know, back in the day, Layla Ali was the only one getting some shine. Even though Ann Wolfe was good, she could never get anybody to put a camera on her. Even though she was a great fighter, it was like they just didn't give her the attention that she deserved. And everybody know about Layla Ali, but not Ann Wolfe. You know, and it's like now I'm trying to let them know, like, I'm a great fighter, and I'm gonna say I feel like I'm the greatest woman of all time. But there are other fighters, and I mentioned girls in lower weight classes. I try to have my promoters sign different girls, put different girls on my undercard, everything. You know, I'm just like not just promoting myself, and that's how you continue to make the fire bigger that we have now. Because when I turned pro, it was just a little house fire, you know, and then it turned into a mansion fire, and we're just trying to make it a forest fire. You know, that's all I'm trying to do, and just bringing more women and getting more promoters involved. Before I fought on Showtime, the main event, HBO didn't even have a woman be the main event or co-main event or even on TV. And they've been broadcasting boxing for 45 years.
Right. Like, Chevy Hallback, you familiar with her? Chevy Hallback, she wanted to try to get on their HBO, but I guess they can't sanction her to fight because, you know, she's a lot older than where she needs to be. But she wanted to get on HBO.
And that's the thing, though. It's a lot of, you see, the thing is, they always want to try to compare. Just like in men's boxing, you got those pound for pounds. Everybody isn't a pound for pound. But whenever they see a women's fight on TV, they think it's going to be a women's pound for pound fight. When it's like, it's going to be a good fight. But some women have better skills than others. You know, some are rougher than others, and they just try to say, oh, well, the women that we've seen can't fight. And it's like, yeah, they can. They're just not the top ones. You guys haven't come down to the amateur ranks and seen these girls fight the Olympics or the World Championships. You guys haven't seen the amateur girls win the USA Nationals. Like, that's where the talent is at before you get to the professionals. Right. You know, so they really haven't seen the best of women's boxing. I think until they've seen me, because I think that with my skills and my, you know, resume, the reason that I've been on TV so many times is because they want to see me. But now they also want to see me against other girls because I've made other girls relevant. I've mentioned their names. I've argued with them on the internet, you know, and they go and look up these girls like, oh, who is this? So now they know who this girl is who I'm arguing with, and they want to see us fight. You know, like, women's boxing needs that. And then even after my last fight, you know, the whole thing with Christina Hammer. Promotion. Mm-hmm. They always talking about, people talking about be a lady. Ladies yell at each other. What are you talking about? Ladies fight. You're not going to make me go in the ring and be a complete beast 10 rounds, but then after the fight, think I'm going to be talking like I'm some kind of ballerina or something. Like, no, I'm a fighter, and I want to kick somebody's ass. I want to set up my next fight. Like if the men do it, it's okay, but the women do it. Oh, she's crazy. She's cocky, but it's like, oh wait, she's ratchet. But, oh, she has no class. But if the men do it, oh, my God, that's just so great. Like, no. Women have to do the same thing. We got to promote our fight. We got to promote each other. Same thing. Equal. That's all.
That's definitely a great point, Claressa. Definitely a double standard when it comes to boxing between the men and the women. And like Joseph Correa had mentioned before, you know, you are blazing and paving the way for other female boxers to do what you're doing, to put their name out there, to obviously promote themselves, you know, to get TV time like you're doing, because it's not easy. And what you're doing is beyond admirable. So I got Courtney Tanner also on the line. He's one of my co-hosts, great guy, huge boxing pundit. I know he has a ton of questions. He's a guy with a plethora of information. He watches boxing 27/4, not 24/7, but 27/4. Courtney Tanner, what's going on, bud?
Hey, what's going on? Thank you for the intro, and Claressa Shields, what's up, champ? How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. First off, I want to say a little background. Me and my boy Devon McLaughlin, shout out to Devon. We went out to Vegas from the I live here in New Mexico, so we made about a 9-hour drive out to Vegas for the first Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev fight. And we were fortunate to be in town early enough for the weigh-in. And so I know you meet people on a continual basis daily, so you probably don't remember meeting me and my friend Devon. But we met you at the weigh-in. You were in the stands. You were just mingling, saying hello to the fans and the public in attendance. And the thing that struck me about you, and the thing that made me a hardcore fan of Claressa Shields, because I peeped you since 2012, so I know you're bona fide. I've seen you at both Olympics, so I've seen you do your thing throughout the years. But the thing that made me big on Claressa Shields as a boxer and as a human being, as a personality within the sport, is the level of accessibility that you had and that you showed to the fans. Because you were dog tired, you had just weighed in. I know that was wearing on you, and you couldn't sign all the everybody's autographs, or get a selfie with everybody, because you kind of just put your hands up and say, guys, I haven't even eaten yet. But even then, you still made a point that everybody came up to shake your hand, or everybody came up to give you a hug or whatever. You gave everybody a little, a half a second of your time. And that really, that for me, that made you stand out. And I know that as you progress and you get bigger and you get a higher profile, it's going to be that much harder for you to be accessible to the fans. Yeah. But I'm just saying that with that and what you've shown to the fans and the public so far, you've done an extremely great deal to endear yourself to the public and to the people and to the fans of the sports. And I just want to encourage you to keep doing that, because if you're doing anything right, it's that. But also, what I want to get into with my question is, with boxing and boxers, this is a sport that's unique in that it's an individual sport. There's great teams behind fighters, but it is an individual sport. And I think the thing that's kind of lost on us is how lonely the sport can be, because you're carrying a lot of weight, you're carrying a lot of hopes and dreams and aspirations of your own and of the people behind you into that ring to go in against somebody else. And so within that, boxing is a great vehicle for people's narrative. So the thing I want to touch about with you is, you are a great proponent of your advocacy for the water crisis that is ongoing in your hometown, in your home region of Flint, Michigan. What I just wanted to ask you is, how did that water and that crisis over there affect you and your family personally? And could you share and kind of divulge a little bit in detail of the advocacy and the things you got going on to draw attention and relief to that crisis out there in Flint, Michigan?
Well, Flint has had dirty water for 4 years now, probably 3. It's 3 or 4. And a lot of my family has dealt with it, but I haven't. After the Olympics and even before the Olympics, I was living in Colorado Springs. And then after, I had moved to Florida. That's my dream place to where I wanted to live. So I really didn't have to deal with the water until I went home, to visit my family. And visiting my family, even before the Olympics, was very difficult, because the water crisis was in the articles and everybody wanted my opinion on it. And wanted me to advocate for it, and I advocated as much as I could, but I didn't want it to overshadow the point that I was going to the Olympics again, And in every interview, they wanted to talk to me about the water crisis, but all I could do was tell them what I knew and how they could help, And I feel like that was a big help, and I've shared it on my pages plenty of times. There's a GoFundMe page called Babies for Bottles or Bottles for Babies. For the Flint water crisis. Now we have different foundations that you can give donations to. One that I just gave $7,500 to after my last fight was to the Flint Future Funds, and that will get and and that goes to 4 different churches, and they put the water out, and they give the water out 3-4 times a week. Right now, the pipes are getting fixed. All of them are not fixed yet, just a certain number, like maybe half of them are fixed, but it's still a lot of neighborhoods that don't have clean water, and I guess they're taking the time to get around to it, I guess. But our governor, Rick Snyder, had discontinued all the water distribution. So even though there are families that need water, he discontinued the water distribution. So that's why I gave my donation, and I give everybody else the information on how to give a donation. And we just kind of go from there. But Flint is dealing with it well. I can say that, with the water crisis, people kind of forgot about the other problems that Flint was having. Like, people forgot about the other things that Flint had going on, like the high murder rate, the black-on-black crime, the poverty level, the unemployment level. It's like there's a lot of things that was going on with Flint, and everybody just kind of shifted to this water crisis, which the water crisis is important, but also everything else that's going on with Flint is important too. So with that, it got to a point where I would just give people the information on how to help, but I didn't really want to think too hard about it because it is a sensitive topic for myself, to know that my family is there without water, and that, that their skin is breaking out, that it's affecting their mental stability and things like that, if they drink the water, and when they were drinking the water without knowing that it was poison. So with that, it was a sensitive topic, and then also knowing that 10 people had died before the water crisis even was announced, had died because of the water crisis, and it was lead in their body. To me, it's still a hurtful topic to talk about, and when I hear people joke about it, it pisses me off because it's like it's not funny, and I don't even know if I ever drank ever drank any lead water, but I just know I wasn't in Flint a lot, starting a water crisis. I was training in Colorado Springs to get ready for the Olympics, but when I went home, it was rough, seeing the water and seeing people's skin broken out and dry skin, and not even a lotion can help your skin, and people are just stressed out about getting bottled water, if they don't have the money for bottled water, or if they didn't make it to a water distribution in time for bottled water, and then still having to pay the water bill for dirty water. It's a very sensitive topic that I don't let my mind dwell too much on. I just try to help, and I just gave you guys ways that you could help, but it's not much else that can be done except for them fixing the pipes for right now. Just fixing the pipes, and people to keep donating so the families can get water because the government won't do it.
Well, again, thank you so much for being on with this, Champ, and thank you so much for sharing your narrative, in particular on what you're doing for the water crisis in Flint, Michigan, and if there's anybody from that area, we're just going to let you know here at Standing 8 Podcast that we stand with you definitely. And you have a champion in Claressa Shields, not only in the ring, but in life. And, with her performances and the way she carries herself, just adding on to the old adage that tough times don't last long, but tough people do. So thanks again, Champ. And I'm going to hand you back to our host, Michael Gomez.
Courtney, that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you, as always. So, Claressa, we have a couple of questions from actually viewers that are posting it through Facebook. And I know that your time is limited, but I just wanted to know if you had just a couple more minutes just to answer some of these questions. Mm-hmm. Some of them are very good questions. So we have a question here from Antoine Wicks. He's from Boston, Massachusetts. And you can see that a lot of our viewers are just scattered all over the U.S. and even the panelists. And we have people from Cali, New Mexico, Joseph Correa is out in Florida. I'm in Newark. D-Rock, who couldn't be with us today, also from Newark. Tommy, also from New Mexico. So we have a bunch of people. So Anton Wicks, his question is, he said, since Layla Ali has said or done some things in the past that Claressa had taken offense, how does she feel about her now, being that she looked up to her at some point?
Well, I don't know. Like, I felt like Layla Ali supported me at the beginning, you know, and then to see, like, you know, she say things. I think she's usually just talking about women's boxing and her being the best. And I think when she said some things that when she was on a Breakfast Club, that's what rubbed me the wrong way. When she said, if she was to come, well, first she gave me, you know, recognition saying right now Claressa Shields is doing her thing, and it's crazy because she fights the same weight class as me, and she gave me a lot of props. But then later on in the interview, she said if she was to come out of retirement, there's nobody that can give her a run for her money. Like, it'd be too easy for her to come back and fight at 168 and win. And I took offense to that because I'm like, I'm the 168 champion. Like, why would you say that, you know? And it was like, you know, I don't want to fight like Layla Ali because she's been retired for 10 years. But when she said that, it more of, I feel like it almost hurt my feelings because, like I said, just like he said, she was somebody who I looked up to. If it wasn't boxing, it was just still like as someone that was just a great role model. And then to hear her say that, it was like, you gave me shine, and then you tried to, you know, kind of disrespect me a little bit and say, oh, there's not a man woman that can beat me. If I was to come back out of retirement, it would be for no reason because there's no girl that can give me a run for my money. Like, it'd be too easy. And that's where I felt the disrespect came in at. And then after my last fight, after I got 410K views, the most views that a woman fighter had ever gotten on TV, she goes and she makes a post on her page with Hannah Gabriels, Christina Hammer, Lucia. No, it's not Lucia. It's Cecilia Brockis. And it was some other girls who she made, like, pictures of and posted, like, I'm so glad women's boxing is doing great and all that stuff. But she didn't put a picture of me. And it was like, that's what I'm talking about. I feel like, I don't know if she hating on me or if she just mad because I called her out after I heard her interview. But at the same time, like, I don't really have any bad feelings toward her. Like, I kind of just told myself to forgive her because the interview went two ways. She did give me my props, but then she also disrespected me. So I don't really know what our relationship is, I guess. But I don't have any ill feelings toward anybody. You know, like, I just feel like she doesn't want what's best for me, I guess. And, you know, even though I'm the reason that women's boxing is on TV, and I'm the reason it's getting this recognition, it's still like she still tried to exclude me, you know. And even when we were cool, she never, like, made any post on her page like, oh, make sure you guys tune in to Showtime to watch Claressa Shields. She never got behind me and supported me. So that's kind of why I'm kind of like, you know, I still got love for her, but I don't think that we're friends.
I hear you. I need to digress just for 1 second. I know that Tiffany Daniels, she's been patient, and she's got to step out. Tiffany Daniels, how are you? I'm super excited that you came on and took the time to you know, get on with all the panelists. And I'm going to give you a chance just to say your goodbyes, and hopefully you got some time for us in the next podcast to jump back on.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. It's been fantastic. It was an honor to be on. I thank you guys for having me on. Claressa, I wish you all the best. Continued success and keep trailblazing for us, and I'll keep supporting you. So I just want to say thank you to everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you, Tiffany.
You
have
too.
A great night. So going back to the questions, we have a question from Michael Cochran. He's out in West Hampstead, New York. His question is, who do you think is the best women's boxer of all time? And then he wrote in parentheses, aside from yourself.
Nice. Besides from myself, best woman fighter of all time before me. I really got to say it's up in it. I feel like it's between Lucia Riker and Ann Wolfe. I feel like Lucia Riker had great skills, great power, but I think she retired at like 7-0 because she couldn't get fights.
Mm-hmm.
But from just seeing her fight, her skill level was the best that I had seen. And then Ann Wolfe, you know, she's just a powerhouse. such a strong woman. She made the men scared to even think about getting in the ring with her. I want to be like that one day.
I wholeheartedly believe that Ann Wolfe in her prime could have beaten several men in the same weight class.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Yep. Wow, she had some power. So we have a special question here from a vivid listener, someone who's been on our show as a panelist, someone who's actually been interviewed by us, Eddie Sanchez from Cali. He just turned pro in March. He has a fantastic question for you, and the question is, what advice could you give me, given that I did not have the Olympic experience, nor did I have a long amateur record, 31 fights. Although I have been boxing for 10 years, I am 1-0 as a pro, looking to get my next fight soon, but it is taking a while.
Mhm. Well, for Eddie, the thing about even though you didn't have a long amateur career, just know that it's always more to learn, and learning that experience is great. You want to continue to test yourself in sparring against people who are more elite or who have more experience than you. Like a lot of top amateurs, those guys that are, 21, 23, and they've had over 300, 400 fights. It's always good to spar those guys because you learn something new and you learn their experience and where they've been. And that's how you can get your experience. Continue to just run. And one thing about not being able to get fights or everything not going as smooth as you want it to be, stay motivated, and sometimes motivation comes from other people. Sometimes it comes from yourself. Sometimes it comes from watching people fight. For me, my motivation comes from watching boxing matches or being there in person and seeing how people react when they lose. And I'm a person, like, I feel like if you lose, you need to be crying. You need to be hurt, because I know my first and only loss felt like death. So I let that motivate me to keep training hard. And I'm just motivated by a lot of my friends, and people send me quotes all the time and keep me uplifted. So, you just want to be in a gym that's really about training, about being motivated, and about getting better. Keep bettering yourself, and I think you'll do great, Eddie.
Excellent answer. And who better than you with such, great mental grit and frame of mind to give that sort of advice to Eddie? And hopefully Eddie is listening out there. And if he is, I could say it on his behalf that he appreciates the answer. And for you taking that time. So we have another question from Jeremy Jones. He's actually out from Michigan. He wanted me to ask you, how has Fly City impacted you growing up there, and how the current struggles of the city impacts you today? Jeremy Jones from Michigan.
Jeremy must have just got in, because I answered that question earlier.
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, to Jeremy, Flint is doing okay. The water crisis is still going on. The pipes are getting fixed. And growing up in Flint just taught me how to be very tough, not just physically but mentally, and how to be a leader. When I was growing up in Flint, it was a lot of followers, and I had to tear myself away from. I had to separate myself from them, and I was in a very dark place because I was walking by myself. I was by myself throughout the journey. And I had to make a lot of tough decisions at a young age, but with God, everything turns out good. Absolutely.
That's a fantastic answer. And you did answer part of that question before. I don't think he was on to listen to that.
Okay.
I'm going to digress for a second. I know Alicia Taylor, she has an announcement that she wants to make to all the listeners out there. Alicia, you got the floor.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I said I know that you have an announcement to make.
Yeah. No, because for as long as I've been in, the boxing industry or whatever, I'm finally official the publicist for Hector Senaraja Dreer. He's 14-0 with 5 KOs, signed with Golden Boy. He's been working out with RGBA out in California. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Congrats.
That's
Thank
excellent
you, Mama.
news. Absolutely. Congratulations.
Yes. It's been a while. And I was like, you know what? God's time. Let me just shoot and ask. And here it is today.
I want to spice this up a little bit. Claressa, I know we're bombarding you with questions, and obviously you're the attraction of the show today, and we definitely appreciate it. But I want to get a little bit, just a little bit into, some gossip. I heard that you were at an event. It might have been the Olympics. I'm not quite sure, but I was reading it a while back. And there was some, I don't know, some animosity between you and I think Serena Williams. Is that true? Was there any animosity? I had to bring it up.
Yeah, it was. I just feel like she was just Hollywood, and a lot of people at the Olympics felt the same way. And she just really was like being kind of rude when people were asking her for pictures and stuff. And I had seen her when no one was asking her for pictures, and I said hi to her, and she just kind of ignored me. And then when Shakur said, "Damn, did she just ignore you?" She looked over there and she said hi, and just kept walking. And everybody knew that she was my idol because she's Serena Williams. She's the greatest tennis player ever, and she's black. Just like me. So she was somebody who I looked up to as far as she's the reason I did the whole ESPN body issue. Like, I had no one else to, like, everybody else was against it, but after I showed my dad pictures of Serena Williams and pictures of Venus, he agreed to let me do it. And so, I looked up to her, but she's not what she preaches. She's not humble. She's not nice. But I can tell you this. She's the reason that I'm nice to all my fans, because I don't want anybody to feel how I felt after, seeing how she was just rude. And I saw people asking her for pictures, and she was texting on her cell phone. I mean, there were girls who were about to cry because they wanted a picture with her so bad, but she was being just so rude to them. But I never asked her for a picture because I just was like, her attitude is off, so I just didn't ask for a picture. But other than that, I'm still a fan of her. She's a great athlete, but as a person, I'm a better person, so I can't look up to somebody I'm a better person than.
And it seems like what I see in you is that you always take the negative and you spin it and you make it positive, just like this situation with Serena. You turn the bad situation to a good situation, and you don't let. I just feel like you don't let bad things affect your frame of mind. And again, I said it in the beginning of the show, just after I listened to you talk. I just think that you're probably mentally even tougher than you are in the boxing ring, and it's probably something that a lot of people don't concentrate on or focus on you. And I mean, you're first to obviously acknowledge this. You have to be, right? And I noticed that you said earlier something about it being mental has to be 20%, but I almost feel like mental is 80% of what we do, and without it, the physicality eventually will lose its purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, I had said that backwards. I meant to say, yeah, boxing is 80% mental, 20% physical, and that's what I really believe. It is 80%. You're right. I must have said that backwards. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I feel like for me, mental was always 80%, and the physical part is always there for me. Like, I know I can fight, I know I can box, I know I can bang, but the mental part of keeping yourself together through everything you're going through. That I'm not a person to put my personal life out there, so people don't know that if I'm going through something, they'll never know, unless I come out and tell them. But I just don't come out and tell anybody anything. Like, I didn't have any excuses for the fight with me and Hannah Gabriels when there was a lot going on, but I just don't speak about my life to the public like that.
I got another question from another viewer who's also a vivid contributor to the Pound for Pound group, Davin McClellan out in L.A. His question is, do you feel like women's boxing should transition to the traditional 3-minute rounds and full 12-round bouts? Great question, by the way.
Oh, that is a good question. Well, I actually think that a lot of the women bouts are interesting and more fast-paced because of the 2 minutes. But I do feel like we should fight 12 world championship rounds. That I do agree with. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of like not against the 3 minutes, but I'm not with it either, because the only reason I'm not with it is because I've been boxing for 2 minutes around since I was 17 or 16 years old. Now that I'm 23 and professional, I think it would take a bit more training or maybe add more to my training if I was to try to get ready for 3 minutes, and I also would have to box different. When I like the way that I box now, with the 2 minutes is more fast paced, and I like fast paced. I mean, I like a fast pace. So, I mean, I'm not really in agreement with 3 minutes, but I have seen some girls go 3 minutes, and to me, their fights are too laid back, you know, and they take their time, just like the men, you know. And it's only a few fast paced fighters that I can name for the men that I enjoy watching. You know, other ones are like, when is the fight going to get started? And it doesn't really get 7th round. You know, it's like there's only a few guys that get the fight started like 2nd and 3rd round until the end, if it goes to the end. So I'm more of 4 to 2 minutes because I get the party started first round.
And I got a question for you, especially about 2 minute rounds and 3 minute rounds. I know that your last 3 fights were scheduled 10. And prior to that, I think it was a scheduled 8-round fight. How has it been, you know, transitioning from, you know, 8 rounds to 10 rounds? And prior to that, I think it was scheduled 6 rounds. How has that transition for you? And how have you, you know, what have you done to prepare for that transition? And then there's a second part to my question. From my understanding, your last fight, you dropped from 168 to 160. How was the preparation for that fight, considering that you had to drop in weight?
The first part of your question was, you just asked 2 of them at the same time.
Yeah, regarding the transitioning from 10 rounds to 8 rounds and 8 rounds to 5.
Well, I've never had a 6-round scheduled fight. It went from 4 rounds. Wait, did I have a 6-round scheduled fight?
Yeah, I believe so.
I can't even remember. I don't know, but I know it went from 4 rounds, and then getting prepared for 6 was kind of the same as 4 because I was already in shape for 6 rounds. Getting prepared for 8 was a little different. And then for 10 was the biggest one because I don't really know when to practice going your 10 rounds in camp. You know, you don't just start camp and be like, okay, get in the ring and box 10 rounds and see how you do. You know, it's like a build-up. So I had to learn to build up, and I called Andre Ward, I called Andre Darrell. I talked to Shakur Stevenson, even though he hadn't fought that many rounds, but I know he spars a lot of rounds. So I would ask them, like, what is their preparation, and I kind of just added some of what they did to what I do as far as in getting prepared. But dropping weight for my last fight was one of the biggest things I've had to do so far because after having a long layoff from January till June, you know, I was supposed to fight in April, you know, and then they kept switching the date from April to May, and all of a sudden we were in June. And by the time I started camp, I was 183 pounds. So instead of me being around 168, 172, where I'm always at, getting ready for a fight up at 168 or 160, I was 183 pounds. So losing the 23 pounds was hard, especially the last 3. The first 10 or 15 came off easy, but just the last 8 and the last 3 pounds just would not come off. And I was doing everything in my power. I was eating right, but it was like I was trying not to starve myself because I knew I would need to have that energy for the fight. But I had never really trusted anybody with my nutrition, so I didn't want to start, you know, even knowing that I was that heavy.
Uh-huh.
But with that, just for the last 3 pounds, it was really hard to come off, and I think I'll do it differently next time. You know, one thing is the fight was a month ago, and I'm only 172 pounds. You know, so I'm gonna keep it here, you know, and keep shape and not get to 183 again because I'm not losing that much weight again.
I hear you. I'm trying to gain some weight. I'm trying to gain
Good
some
luck.
weight. So, guys, anybody else have any questions for Claressa? I know that her time is limited. We've already got her on for about an hour and 15 minutes, and I know she wants to get back and do whatever she was doing before, and still and strive to get another 2 belts. That's what she's working on. Anybody out there? Joseph?
No, I just want to thank Claressa for her time and, you know, answering the questions for the fans and the media. She's always very, very gracious in everything she does. So just thank you.
Thank you guys for having me. This was a cool interview.
No, it was a pleasure, Claressa. Here's what I found out about you. You're a great boxer, but you're even a greater human being. Keep on doing what you're doing. You're a star already, but there's so much growth for you in the next 5 to 10 years in your boxing career. And I know that we're going to be seeing you more and more. And thank you for this opportunity. I hope that this isn't the first nor the last time you get on the podcast. We enjoyed having you on, and we're hoping to have you on many more times. Thank you so much, and have a great night.
Thank you, guys. And you guys have a great night, too.
Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Man, she was fantastic. She has like that Michael.
Absolutely.
She has like that Michael Jordan mindset. You were right, Joe. She's got that Michael Jordan mindset.
She does. Not many human beings have that, and that's, it's just a win. Win attitude, just win. And, she carries herself that way, but at the same time, you see how she treats other people, very well. So, that's awesome.
So let's
get... I got a question for Joseph, though, if you guys don't mind.
What's up?
How do you give us a brief breakdown prediction of Claressa Shields' upcoming unification bout with Christina Hammer? How do you see or envision that going?
Well, obviously, Christina Hammer has the experience as a pro, and you can't replace that. Even with amateur experience, it's a different style of fight. Christina Hammer fights, man, so it's going to be tough. But in saying that, just going back to what we were just saying, Claressa's a winner, man, and winners find ways to win. And I think if she can stay disciplined and not get anxious, that she can box her way to a decision. Christina Hammer definitely is going to be the toughest challenge of her career by a long stretch, and probably will give her some early trouble. How about yourself? How do you see the fight?
I see it similarly to that. The thing, seeing them both fight, that's what I thought the great thing about the last card was, is that we get to see Christina Hammer on the undercard before we get to see Claressa Shields in action. And the thing is, I think there was a lot of buzz, there's a lot of intrigue. I think a lot of people jumped on YouTube and checked out some of Christina's fights over in Europe. And I think the consensus and what I saw myself in recognizing a Christina Hammer fight, even before the Showtime fight, is that Christina Hammer has got levels. And she's got levels that's very rare to see in women's boxing. I've been watching women's boxing for years. You already know I'm a crackhead. I watch anything boxing related. So, I've been in the fringes. I've watched a lot of the women fighters. And the thing about women's boxing is, and I think that makes Claressa unique, is it's very rare to see a women's boxer, as you go up in weight with women boxers, have levels. We got Amanda Serrano and her sister. They're fighting, between 118 and 135. They got levels. We've seen Claressa Shields obviously have levels with her extensive amateur career. Christina Hammer, she's got, that thing that she's got levels of where she can take it. Being a fighter that is up in weight, but also has she has a little bit more pop than your average female fighter. So I think that's definitely going to be an intriguing matchup with Claressa Shields. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see her bring that to the table, because at the pro level, Claressa hasn't seen anything like that. But at the same time,
correct,
there's nothing Claressa Shields hasn't seen. Being at that, she's got that very, very extensive amateur pedigree, fighting not only at the national but international level as an amateur, and having 2 gold medals and multiple amateur world championships. So I think it's going to make for an intriguing matchup. I think it might be a little tricky for Claressa Shields to begin with, but I don't see anything with Christina Hammer where it's going to be too tough or too daunting for her to overcome. And when I mention women's boxers with levels, I would be remiss if I didn't also bring up the champion from Norway. Her name is escaping me right now. But Christina Breakhouse, and that's another one. And that's and there's also talk of Claressa Shields going down even further in weight to fight her, and that's going to be an interesting matchup as well.
Another one that presents levels is Katie Taylor, man.
Yes. I just think Katie Taylor, I don't see her making that jump for enough in weight for her to be viable.
No. I mean, I'm just saying levels as far as a female boxer. Like, she shows she's a lot more polished.
Joseph. I would have to totally agree with you on that, Joseph.
Yeah, she's totally polished. Like, you're starting to see, now that women are getting the opportunity, you're starting to see the elite separate themselves from just the average. Whereas because you're getting more fights now, because more people are getting interested because of the likes of Claressa Shields and these great female fighters that are finally getting a chance to shine. They're inspiring others. People are getting in the gym. And you're starting to see that there are elite female fighters, and you named pretty much all of them right now. You have Heather Hardy also, who is extremely tough and, undefeated fighter. It's exciting. It's exciting to see, but, I do think that the same as you. I don't think it's anything Claressa can't handle. I just think that she has to have her nerves in check early, because early is when she's going to have to weather the storm and figure out, how to get the win. But I do think she can outbox Christina Hammer.
I just have a desire to be great. That's one of the main things, in the fact that it's another man on the other side of the ring that wants to hurt me.
I told you, all of my critics, I told you all that I was the greatest of all time.
He can bring the pressure. He can box. I'm a true champion. I'm willing to go to his turf. I'm a step on him. I'm a crush him. Y'all can mark my word to this. I'm a crush him. He's a C+ fighter. I'm an A+ fighter because I'm a dominate. This guy is flat footy, swing wild. I'm not worried about who his trainer is, because the trainer can't get in there and fight for him. I'm ready mentally, physically, because I'm a team like he's a C+ fighter. I'm a dominate. I'm a dog this fighter.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one to stop me. Lynx is the conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from the Air Force. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children.
Can you? Listen, the concentration is leaving a little bit. Take it up. Take it up. Fire's coming. Are you ready for the fire? We're firemen. We are firemen. The heat doesn't bother us. We live in the heat. We train in the heat. It tells us that we're ready. We're at home. We're where we're supposed to be. Flames don't intimidate us. What do? We control the flame. We control them. We move the flame. We